Okay, what you're doing is running a greedy algorithm. You're trying to be greedy at every step. The main difference, why you call it an approximation algorithm here, is that we'll see that the algorithm is greedy, but it is not guaranteed to give the optimal solution. So here you're not guaranteed to get an optimal solution, but you're guaranteed to get a solution that is close to the optimal solution in some sense. Okay, so that's a crucial difference. You're not guaranteed to get an optimal solution, but still you are guaranteed to get a solution that is close to the optimal. Okay, now the first question you should ask me is, why do you even care about a solution that is close to the optimal solution, right? Why don't you care about, why don't you just find an optimal solution, right? And why do you think that is the case? Why are we satisfied in certain scenarios for certain problems? Why are we satisfied with solutions that are close to the optimal solution, but perhaps not the optimal solution? Why are we satisfied? Why don't we just try to get the optimal solution in certain scenarios or certain problems?
The cost of finding optimal solution might be much more than the cost due to solution.
Exactly, right. So that's the idea, right? We know that there are certain problems, NP hard problems. These are called very difficult hard problems called NP hard problems, for which we don't know whether we can find efficient algorithms that gives an optimal solution. And in those scenarios, it's probably we will not be able to come with an efficient algorithm that gives an optimal solution. So in those cases, we are satisfied with an answer that is close to the optimal solution. So if we can give some guarantee that even though it's not an optimal solution, but quantitatively it is close, then we are doing good, right? So we are actually making some progress about solving that problem. And that is exactly the spirit of greedy approximation algorithm. The idea remains absolutely the same, except that we are not guaranteed to get an optimal solution, but we still give a solution, we get a solution that is provably close to the optimal solution. That's a crucial point, right? We will develop algorithms that gives a solution, we will prove that the solution that it outputs is close to the optimal solution. Okay? We'll not do a hand-waving argument, we'll actually do a proof that the solution that our algorithm outputs, even though it is not guaranteed to be an optimal solution, but it is guaranteed to be close to the optimal solution. Okay. So, okay. And the kind of problems that we talk about when we talk about these approximation algorithms are optimization problems. Okay. So, the problems where you want to optimize a particular quantity, right? For example, the minimum spanning tree problem or the shortest path problem. You want to find a spanning tree with minimum total cost, okay? Or you want to find shortest path from S to all the other vertices, okay? You want to optimize a particular quantity. You want to find a solution out of the solution space that optimizes, that minimizes or maximizes the quantity, okay? So suppose we are talking about a maximization problem, okay? So out of the solution space, you want to find that, you want to output that solution that maximizes the metric or maximizes certain quantity, right? Now in that particular scenario, what would be a good approximation algorithm? An approximation algorithm will output a solution, okay, that is close to the optimal solution. How do you define this closeness to the optimal solution? You know that the optimal solution has certain value, right? For a maximization problem, suppose it has value 100. Okay, for a given problem instance, suppose the maximum value, okay, there is an optimal solution with maximum value 100. How do you define a solution that is close to this solution? It's very natural, right? So what is the most natural way to define closeness in this particular setting, in a maximization setting? Okay, so there are multiple ways to define it. There is one additive way. So you can say that, okay, I want a solution that is close, that is 90, at least 90 for a maximization problem. That's an additive way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is multiplicative, right? I want a solution that is at least some constant between 0 and 1 times 100. That's a multiplicative way of looking at it. Okay, both of them are used in approximation algorithms, but a more popular way of defining closeness of the solution is multiplicative. Okay, so let's follow that. We want, for a maximization problem, we want a solution that is, say, alpha factor, okay, or say if the optimal solution is, say, capital C, then we want a solution that is C divided by some integer greater than 1, some constant greater than 1. Okay, so that is the way of defining it. So that is and this factor is called the approximation factor. Okay, very natural. For a minimization problem, we would want to obtain a solution that is at most C times the optimal value, and C is some constant that is greater than 1, right? And that is C is called the approximation guarantee or the approximation factor. So that is the spirit in which we will study these algorithms. We want to study optimization problems, and we want to develop greedy algorithms for those. And the notion of greedy algorithms is absolutely clear in our head. It's a bunch of steps. At each step, we want to be greedy, right? So you want to develop greedy algorithms and then argue that even though this greedy algorithm does not work, that means it does not guarantee to output an optimal solution, it is guaranteed to output something that is close, and this closeness is in this multiplicative manner that we define. Even though it does not give you the optimal value, the solution that it output does not has the optimal value, but still it is close in this multiplicative sense. Okay, so let's straight away start talking about two case studies, and straight away start talking about a problem. This problem is called the set cover problem. Okay, and some people might have heard about this particular problem. So it's easy to define. Okay, so the notationally it's slightly tricky, but idea wise it's very simple. So let S be a set. Maybe I'll stand there. Okay, so let S be a set containing n elements. A set of subsets S1 through Sm of S is called a covering set, okay, if each element in S is present in at least one of the subsets S1 through Sm. Okay, so that's called a covering set of this. You have a universe of elements, and a covering set is basically a subset of this universe, subsets of this universe, so that if you take the union of the elements, you get the entire universe. Okay, now the problem is the following: you are given a set S, a universe S, containing n elements and m subsets S1 through Sm of S. Okay, you have to find a covering set of S of minimum cardinality. Okay, so visually I can represent it as in the following manner. You have a universe of elements, capital S, and you have a bunch of these subsets, and these subsets could be overlapping. This is S1, this is S2, this is S3, this is S4, this is S5, and so on and so forth. Right? You have a bunch of these subsets that is given to you, S1 through Sm. What you want to do is to pick some of these subsets so that the union of these sets is the entire universe, and the number of these subsets that you pick is minimum. You want to pick the smallest number of these subsets which cover the entire set. Okay, you want to cover the universe using the smallest number of subsets. Okay, make sense? So let's look at an example, right? So if S is this set, A, B, C, D, E, F, and you have 4 subsets given to you, A, B, A, C, B, C, D, E, F, and S5 is E, F. So the first question is S1, S2, S3, S4, is this a covering set? Yes? And can you give me a covering set of minimum cardinality, the smallest set cover? S2, S3, S4, S2, S3, S4, right? So that's also a covering set, right? Can you think of a covering set of size 2? Can you have a covering set of size 2? No. So the set cover of minimum size is 3. Okay? So that's what I mean by an optimization question, right? So you have a set of solution space, and you want to output that solution which has the minimum value, and the value in this case is the minimum number of sets which cover the entire universe, right? So that is what, okay, so now this is the problem that you want to solve. And let me motivate this problem, because talking about these subsets, you don't get a feel of how important or how useful this particular problem is. This problem, the set cover problem, it's a very natural problem, right? You're given a universe, you are given a bunch of subsets, you want to figure out the minimum number of subsets, pick, so that the entire universe is covered, right? This has immense amount of applications. Just consider one simple application, right, of the set cover problem. You are given, there are n villages, and the government is trying to figure out which villages to open schools at, so that it has to open the minimum number of schools, right? Opening a school has a cost. So it's trying to open the minimum number of schools, and there are a bunch of villages that are spread out in the area. Now the constraint is that no child should have to walk more than 3 miles to get to a school. Okay? How do we model this as a set cover problem? What I'm saying is that you can model this problem of finding the minimum number of schools to open such that this constraint is met using a set cover problem. You can define these sets, you can define S, you can define S1 through Sm, so that picking the minimum number of subsets that cover the entire universe will give you the minimum number of villages at which you want to open the schools. So how do you model this? Okay, so you have these villages, right? So V1, V2, V3, and all these villages. Right, so which
component such that
you okay.
within that is at a distance of node 1 and 3, that can be one of the subsets. And
Okay, so let me clarify. You can only, the government only wants to open schools at one of these villages. It doesn't want to open a village somewhere in the middle, right? It doesn't want to do that. It can only open schools at villages. So the entire universe which you want to cover is the set of all villages, right? So V1 up till Vn. What are these subsets? S1, S2?
So basically, children define membership in the following way. A child, every village is a say subset.
Okay.
A child belongs to this set, which is the village actually, if it is within 3 miles.
Okay.
You define membership in this way, and then the universe is the set of children.
Oh, but the children doesn't even feature in this problem, right? So we don't even care. We care about which villages that the government want to open the school, so that no child has to walk more than 3 miles.
Yeah, so a child belongs to a subset. A subset is essentially a village, right? Because
No, so okay, go ahead.
so suppose each village is a possible subset. Okay, and who are the members of this particular subset? Every child who is within 3 miles belongs to this subset.
Okay, okay. So let me also clarify that each village has at least one child who wants to go to school. Each village has at least one child who wants to go to school.
But there would be other neighboring villages also which would be within 3 miles of this, right?
Right.
Right. So
Right.
they will be members of this.
Exactly. Right. Okay. So we don't need to. What I'm saying is we don't need to talk in terms of children. We might as well talk in terms of villages. Okay. In the following sense. Yeah. In the following sense.
I was just.
Yeah. So you're right. You're right. I get the idea what you're trying to say. So what are these sets that you want to you can define? Well, take any village, okay, and draw a 3 mile radius around this village, and look at all the villages that are within the 3 mile radius. Okay, those form a set. Okay, so that, suppose this is the village number 1. So S of 1 is all the villages that are within this 3 mile radius. That means all of them get covered if you open a school at V1. Similarly, this is V2. So again, draw a 3 mile radius around this, and all the villages that are within the 3 mile radius, they form S2. Right? And now, what you need to do is to figure out which subsets to pick so that all the villages get covered. Right? This is exactly the set cover problem. Right? And that's why set cover problem is so useful.
More intuitive to think in terms of children. I may be wrong, but I find that more intuitive because essentially you want to ensure that every child gets, So
right, so every village has to be covered.
Universe has the set of children. Then
So that's why I may clarify, right? Every village has a child, right? So every village has to be covered. So it's a very good point actually. I never thought about it previously. If a village does not have a child, then you don't care about that village, right? So it's a very good point. So yeah, so that's a good point. I should clarify whenever I talk about this problem. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, but so I should also clarify that every child or the children in the village want to go to school, right, or should be sent to school. Right, if there is a village where no one wants to send their children to school, then what can you do? Okay, so let's focus on the set cover problem, right? So this is very important, and this is just one application. You can think of many others where the set cover problem is the right way to model that particular problem. Okay, so let's talk about a greedy algorithm for this problem. Okay, so before I show you, let me ask you, just try to be greedy. You want to minimize the number of sets that you pick to cover the entire universe. Okay, try to be greedy. What is the greedy algorithm that comes to your mind? Right, so pick the set that has a maximum number of elements, right? Now that you have, okay, so let me do it pictorially. Okay, so you have the entire universe. First, at the very first step, you want to be greedy, right? You want to pick that subset that has the most number of elements. That makes sense, right? Now all these elements are covered because you have picked this subset. You don't care about them anymore. Now what, at the second step, again you want to be greedy. So how do you want to be greedy at the second step? But look at it, the set with the maximum cardinality may be something like this. Say it again. Exactly. So, okay. So now at the second step you want to be greedy in the following sense. Pick that set which covers the maximum numbers of currently uncovered elements. Right? So forget about these elements. Now again pick something that covers the maximum number of remaining elements. Okay? It might have an intersection like this, but you don't care. This is the set with the maximum that covers the maximum number of remaining elements. And keep doing this. Okay? Keep picking until you cover all the elements. That's the greedy algorithm. Right? That is the greedy algorithm that we want to analyze. Okay? So this is the greedy set cover. So you have the entire universe and these subsets. You have T, which basically means you want to store the sets that you pick in T. So you start with all the elements, and while R is not empty, you pick a subset Si that covers the maximum number of elements. In the remaining subset. So R denotes sort of a remaining subset, and then you pick that subset, and then the remaining subset is modified to R minus S, and you keep doing that. That's your greedy algorithm. Okay. Now, is it guaranteed to always give an optimal solution? Until now, we have looked at greedy algorithms that are guaranteed to give an optimal solution. Is this algorithm always give an optimal solution? Suppose you are saying no. Okay, if you're saying no, what do you have to do to prove that this algorithm does not give an optimal solution always? What do you have to do? That's simpler to handle rather than a proof. So what do? You give a bad example, you give a counter example. You give me a problem instance where if you run this algorithm, you will get a solution that is not optimal. Give me a counter example. Find a counter example. So that is an exercise that I completely leave it to the students.
All the villages are in there's a central village which has all the other villages and it's 3 miles territory.
Okay.
So that is the set we should take, but
No, so yeah, so give me a counter example. So give me counter, so forget about the villages for now. So that was just to motivate the set cover, right? So give me a set S and give me some sets S1, perhaps S2, S3, S4. Okay, however many that you require to disprove that. That means if you run the greedy algorithm, you get something, a solution that is more costly than the optimal. If you find the thinking in terms of village easy, then go ahead. You can even give me an example in terms of the village setting.
After all efforts, still we find that one solution is coming from both solutions.
No, then that is not a solution then, right? Yeah, so a solution is only when all the villages get covered.
There is a village with three elements.
Okay, so then,
There is a set three elements.
okay, so what are these? A, B, C?
Okay, 1, 2, 3 maybe.
1, 2, 3, okay. So what is the universe?
The universe is of 5 elements.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the first one has 1, 2, 3.
okay,
Second one has 2 and 4.
okay.
And third one has 3 and 5.
3 and 5. Okay. Okay, so let's see. What is the optimal solution for this? What is an optimal solution for this example? All three, or can you do something better?
Just S2 and S5.
No, then one is not. One is not.
Okay, all 1 please.
Okay, so just remove one from here.
And
But then, yeah, so this is not a convincing example. So can somebody else try? Come up with a counterexample. That will sort of sharpen your intuition about intuition when we talk about the approximation analysis. I can wait for a minute. I'm not in a hurry. This is a new topic. I understand there are fundamental issues, so I can be as slow as possible. Okay, so tell me, what is the set?
so first one is 1, 2, 3.
One. What is the entire universe?
Sorry.
What is the universe? What is the set? S.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
The first one has 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Second one has 1, 2, 4.
Okay.
And third one has 3 and 5.
3 and 5. Okay. Okay. So.
We end up choosing first one first.
Okay.
For the S2, greedy algorithm may choose S1 first.
But this is not very convincing, right? So because, okay, so your greedy algorithm picks the maximum, and if there's a tie, then you resolve it arbitrarily, right?
Yeah, so if it chooses S1 first, then it would have to pick S2.
Right, but still, can you give me a more convincing, where the greedy algorithm is guaranteed to produce something that is not optimal?
Say 5. If you make it say passive is 6.
Okay, so 6, okay.
S1 has still 4.
Okay, so what are those?
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Then S2 is 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5.
Then 1, 2 and 6.
Okay.
And then we another set with 5 and 6 only.
5 and 6. Okay, so what is an optimal solution for this?
S1 and S4 they
Yes.
will cover everything.
So this one these two cover everything, right? So that's an optimal solution.
You will cover the first one,
Okay.
the second and third.
No, so the greedy algorithm will pick this set first.
Then from the rest,
Again, it picks that one which has covered the most number of uncovered elements. So it will pick 5 and 6. Right, so the greedy algorithm indeed gives an optimal solution for this. We want an example where the greedy algorithm does not produce an optimal solution.
Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay?
The first step is 1, 2. Then at each step we add one more element, like one more radius.
Okay.
Next is
2,
2, 3.
3,
Then 3, 4.
3, 4,
And then 4, 5.
4, 5. Okay?
In the first step, it chooses from 2, and each of the 3 sets are now equivalent to choose. Because at each step, we are adding one element.
No, so what, okay, so let's, the argument has to be very clear, right? So what is an optimal solution for this?
We need to choose all the 4.
Also, no, that's not true. We can choose S1, this, and this. Right?
But then the cardinal is the
As
same.
far as 3.
S1, S3, and S4.
S1, S3 and S4 is an optimal solution, right? But the greedy algorithm might do the same. Right, so because the greedy algorithm picks the maximum number, if there is a tie, then it resolves arbitrarily, then picks an arbitrary set, right? So it might as well produce an optimal solution.
I was thinking that if at each step we were able to add only one element, that could be one of the common examples. Then choose our subset.
Oh, so the intuition is there, but you have to come up with a solid counter example, right? So the idea is right. Perhaps you can build using that intuition. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 6,
Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
5,
5,
6.
6. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 6.
1, 2, 3, 6.
Then 1, 2, 4.
1, 2, 2, 4,
Then 3, 5, 6.
3, 5, 6. Okay, and we rub the fourth one. Okay. Okay, so what is the optimal solution for this? Yeah, so okay, so the optimal solution is just these two sets, right? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So the optimal is S2 and S3, that means the value is 2. Let's look at what the greedy algorithm is going to do. The greedy algorithm first is going to pick S1, right? Because that is the maximum, it's covering the maximum number of elements, right? So it's going to pick this one, okay? Now it is going to pick that set which covers the maximum number of remaining elements. What is that? Both are equal, right? So even if it is picking this or this, it has to pick the other one too. So it has to pick, the greedy algorithm will pick all 3 subsets. So it is guaranteed, or it is not guaranteed to produce an optimal solution. Here is a counter example where the greedy algorithm outputs a solution that is not the optimal solution, right? So we are convinced that even though this greedy algorithm feels good, it seems like it's going to give us a good solution, it does not produce an optimal solution. We have seen a counter example where it does not produce an optimal solution. However, what we are going to now show is that even though it does not produce an optimal, so it's not guaranteed to produce an optimal solution, it is guaranteed to produce a solution that is close, and the closeness is in the multiplicative sense that we define. It is a minimization problem, so what we are going to argue is that it always produces a solution that is some factor times the optimal solution. Okay, that is what we are going to try to show. Okay, so here is a counter example. Yeah, it might be very similar to your counter example. Okay, so here is what we want to try to show. Let K be the cardinality of any optimal covering set, then the greedy algorithm outputs a covering set with cardinality at most K times log n. So the approximation factor that we are talking about here is log n. What is n? N is the number of elements in the universe. Let n of t be the number of uncovered elements after t iterations of the loop. So what is n of 0? Let me try to see if everyone is following the definition. What is n of 0? N, small n, right? Every element is uncovered at the very first step. And n of t is the number of uncovered elements after t iterations of the loop. Okay. Here is the subclaim that I want to prove. N of t is less than equal to 1 minus 1 over k of n of t minus 1. What is k? Well, k is the size of the optimal solution, value of the optimal solution. I want to prove that n of t is less than equal to 1 minus 1 by k of n of t minus 1. Okay, and this is slightly tricky. So I'll give you a minute to think about it, but once you realize it, it gives you a sort of a happiness if you try to figure this out. So I don't want to take that happiness from you. So think about it, take a minute. It's not trivial. So what you want to show is that the number of elements remaining after t iterations is the number of elements remaining after t minus 1 iterations minus the number of t minus 1 by k. So you get a drop, you get a multiplicative drop in the number of remaining elements. You are guaranteed to cover at least these many elements, okay? Or you are guaranteed to cover at least these many elements in the tth step, because the number of remaining elements drops down. It becomes from nt minus 1 to nt minus 1 minus this quantity, right? So this is the drop that you get. So why is it guaranteed that in the tth step you will cover these many number of uncovered elements? There is no probability. This is not a randomized setting at all.
All the elements of the set S, suppose when you consider the number of elements as k, in that case, the element exists in that final optimal set. It will be 1 by k. Like it will be here, it will not be here.
No, okay.
After each iteration, we are adding a new element.
We are adding a new element, that means we are adding a set, right? So and a few of the uncovered elements now get covered because of that. Yes. Right. So this is its scenario, right? So after t minus 1 steps, some elements have been covered, some subsets have been picked, and some elements get covered. Okay. And now we are trying to argue that in this tth step, at least these many number of elements of these remaining elements will get covered. Why is that the case? Okay, we prove by, again, try to prove by contradiction. Suppose this is not the case. Okay, so what do you do in the tth step? Well, you look at all possible subsets, all subsets, and you consider the subset that covers the maximum number of uncovered elements. That means such a subset that covers the maximum number of uncovered elements. Okay, this is the subset that you want to pick. Right? For the sake of contradiction, assume that that means the number of elements here is less than nt minus 1 by k. Now you want to get a contradiction. How do you get a contradiction out of this? That means that any subset that you consider covers less than nt minus 1 by k elements. Okay, that means even if you take k of these, the number of elements that these subsets will cover out of this remaining subset, okay, they will not be able to even cover this unshaded area. Even if you take k of them, they will not be able to cover, because all of them are less than nt minus 1 by k. So if you take k of them, they will not be able to cover this. And that contradicts with the fact that the optimal solution, there is an optimal solution with value k. Right? I'm jumping one or two tiny things, okay? But I just want to, instead of going into the details, unnecessary details, I just want to give you an idea, okay, so that you can go back and pursue it, the details by yourself. If all of them is less than, the number of elements in this unshaded area is less than nt minus 1 by k, then even if you take k of them, they will not be able to cover this unshaded area. So there cannot exist a set of k elements that cover the entire universe. Okay? That is the idea. So that means there exists a subset which covers at least these many number of elements. Okay? Just by sort of summation, an averaging argument, right? So that means at least these many number of elements get covered from the uncovered set in this tth round. Okay, so okay, and that gives you, that basically gives you the result, right? So n0 is n, and you have the fact that nt is less than or equal to 1 minus 1 by k times nt minus 1. Okay, so that means what is n times k log n? What is that? Well, it is going to be 1 minus 1 over k to the power k log n. Okay, so right, and you use the fact that 1 minus x is less than or equal to e to the power minus x, and the equality holds for only x equal to 0. Okay, so you get that this holds true. Okay, so that means oh no, so this is true, and then you get that this is less than 1. Okay, so it's e to the power minus k times k log n, k gets cancelled, e to the power minus log n is just 1 by n. Okay, and y n gets cancelled, and then you get 1. Simple application. Right? What does this mean? That all the elements are covered. The number of remaining, so n of t denotes the number of remaining elements. So if the number of remaining elements is going down less than 1, that means all the elements have been covered. Okay? So how many subsets have you picked? Well, you have picked k log n. So if you pick k log n subsets, you are guaranteed to cover the entire universe. Okay? So the greedy algorithm always is guaranteed to output the number of subsets as k log n. It outputs at most k log n subsets to cover the entire universe, where k is the optimal. So whatever the optimal solution value is, the greedy algorithm will produce a solution with value at most the optimal times log n. Right? That's how you get this. This is a greedy approximation algorithm. Okay, so it was slightly tricky there, the analysis, and since I have been talking about a lot of concepts, introduce a lot of concepts very compactly, you might take a little bit of time to grasp everything, but don't worry, the last session again will be approximation algorithms, right? And when you do this repetition, many of these ideas will, by that time, will become much more clear. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a feel of how greedy algorithms, even though it does not, in certain cases, give you the optimal solution, it is guaranteed to give you something that is close to the optimal solution. Okay. Okay. Now, the second case study. It's called the minimum make span problem. Okay. So how much time do I have?
We have 1 second.
Okay. 50 minutes, okay. Okay, so the minimum make span problem is the following. You are given m identical machines and n jobs. For each job I, you are given the duration of this job di that denotes the time that is required by any machine to perform this job. What you have to do is to assign these jobs on m machines such that the maximum finishing time is minimized. Okay? Again, it's slightly tricky. Consider this example. You have got 3 machines and you have got these jobs, 6 jobs. The height of these jobs denote the time that it will take for any machine to do this job. Okay? Now what you have to do is to place these jobs on these machines so that the height of the maximum tower is minimized. Okay? So it's sort of minimization of maximum. Okay, so that is like a 2-level thing, so it might be a little complex, but yeah, but once you get your wrap around that idea, it's very simple. So you want to place these blocks on these blue lines so that the height of the maximum tower gets minimized. Okay, so can we just solve it in this example? And the value of the solution will be actually the height of the largest tower. That means the time, the finishing time of the last machine, the machine that finishes last. Okay? So we can visually represent it using these towers, and you build these towers and you want to minimize the height of the maximum tower. So can you give me a solution for this? Okay, so you're thinking in terms of the algorithm right now. I'm saying that I want to just solve this problem, this example. I'm talking about a simpler case. Just for now, just trying to get an intuition, just try to solve this example, and then we can perhaps try to develop an algorithm. Nothing less than 60, right? So that's a good observation, right? So so one of the jobs is 60, right? So the maximum finishing time has to be at least 60, right? Okay. So tell me an assignment of 3 machines.
We can assign the job with 60 on one of the machines.
60 on one of the machines, okay?
Right, and 35 on the second one.
Okay, so 35 on the second one.
And the rest of them on the other one.
Okay.
40, 10 and 5.
Okay, so 40, 10 and 5. Okay, so this becomes 60, this 65 and 55. Okay, so the answer, the value of the solution, this particular solution is 65. Can you do better? Can you do an assignment so that the height of the maximum tower is minimized, is lesser than 65? No. So if a job is assigned, no preemption and no shifting the job. Otherwise, we can just cut the job and make it uniform, right? So that is the whole point of this. You're not allowed to. If you assign the job, the full job has to be done on that machine. $65 is the best you can do for this particular example. 65 is the best. Well, this is a simple example. Perhaps you can try doing all possible combinations. It turns out 65, you're not able to do anything better than 65, right? Okay, so fine. Now, can you come up with an algorithm, a greedy, again, be greedy. Come up with a greedy algorithm, a natural greedy algorithm for this problem.
First, we can choose the job which is of maximum size
Okay.
on machine 1, same on machine 2 and same on machine 3. Then whenever the job that we will choose, again the maximum size job and based on, I work like that.
Okay, so you want to be greedy in the sense that you pick the maximum size job, place it on one of the machines, and then do what? So we'll put 60 here, and then
40 on the next.
40 for, again pick the maximum job on the next, and then this, and then again pick the maximum job.
Then the 35 machines we will, if we completed work, we will then again pick up the next job with the maximum size and place it on that.
On the least loaded machine, right? do you consider the load of the machine or you ignore the load of the machine?
Maximum leftover capacity.
The current load, we can define something called a current load of the machine. If you have placed 60 on this machine, then this machine already has a load of 60. Okay, and then we can place a job on a machine with a minimum sort of load, current load, right? That makes sense. That
Duration of job should be within the remaining time.
okay. Yeah, so the sort of the load of the machine is the total number of total time that of all the jobs, the sum of the size of all the jobs on that machine at present, right? And it makes sense, right? So to be able to what are we trying to do? Roughly, we are trying to balance the load of all the machines, right? It's a very relevant problem. You have these machines, you have these jobs, you want to place them so that the balance of you sort of balance the load of all the machines. That's a goal, right? It's a very, very important problem. Okay. And that makes sense, right? So you look at the jobs in some particular order. You're suggesting that we should look at the jobs in decreasing order of their size. And the algorithm is that you look at the jobs in that particular order and keep placing it on machines with the least current load. Okay, and keep doing that. And that will perhaps balance the load, right? Okay, so that is a more complex algorithm to analyze. I'm going to do something very even simpler. Right? A simpler greedy algorithm. Instead of looking at the jobs in some order, fixed decreasing order of their size, what I will do is look at the jobs in the order that they are given to us. Okay, so we are just looking at the jobs that are in the order that they are given to us. So this is the first job, second job, third job, fourth job, fifth job, sixth job. Okay, we don't play with the size of the jobs. What we want to do is just go through all these jobs and keep placing it on the machine with the least current job, with the least current load. Okay, that is the algorithm that we will analyze in this discussion. However, what she is suggesting might have a better approximation bound. Okay, so that will leave, that is a little bit complex. That is really an advanced level approximation algorithm question. But this, where you just look at the jobs in whatever order, in arbitrary order, and keep placing it on machine with the least load, that the approximation guarantee for that we can do this in this discussion. Okay. And this looking at placing the jobs in arbitrary order actually makes sense in many real world settings, right? Because many times you have these machines available and you do not have a list of all the jobs with you. They come sort of in an online fashion. They keep coming and you have to decide, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes there. So it actually makes sense that you cannot process the jobs at once because you don't know them in advance. Okay, so let's analyze this particular algorithm. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the greedy strategy is the following: assign the next job to a machine with least load. Let's run this algorithm. Okay, so you start with 10. So you place it in any machine. So you place it here. Then you have 40. 40 goes here. Then 5 goes here, right? 30 goes on 5, right? 60 goes on 10. Right? So this is how you do it, right? This is a greedy algorithm. What is the value of this greedy algorithm? 70. Right? Is this optimal? No, we have an example there, right? So we did it in the 65. Okay, and it seems that there is no better solution than 65. So again, we have a scenario where a very nice greedy algorithm is not guaranteed to give us an optimal solution. Here is an example where the greedy algorithm does not give you an optimal solution. However, what we are trying to show here is that the greedy algorithm is guaranteed to produce a solution that is close to the optimal solution. Okay, this problem again is a minimization or maximization problem. It's a minimization problem, right? So what we'll try to prove is that for a certain factor C, previously in the previous problem the factor C was log n. Here what we'll show is that for a certain factor again, the greedy algorithm produces a solution with value, that means the height of the largest tower, the tallest tower, is at most that factor C times the optimum, right? What is your guess? Okay, so yeah, that doesn't make sense. So let me try to just instead of, okay, so this is what we'll try to show. Okay, So the greedy algorithm is very simple. Okay, so the make span algorithm is very simple. While all the jobs are not assigned, assign the next job to a machine with least load. That is the algorithm that we are analyzing. So let opt be the optimal value, the value of the optimal solution. Okay, and let G denote the maximum finishing time of a machine as per the greedy assignment. Okay, then we show that G is guaranteed to be at most twice 2 times optimal. Okay, this is our basically our goal. Okay, so let's try to break it down into a bunch of subclaims. Here's the first claim. Opt is greater than or equal to d1 plus d2 up till dn divided by n. Okay, so what are these? Well, these are the durations of all the jobs. What is n? M is the number of machines. Why do you have that opt is greater than or equal to this quantity?
Even if you divide equally, you will need at least these many, the optimal has to be equal to at least these many jobs, because if you divide it equally, you cannot have better than, you cannot take less than, I mean, I'm not able to.
So if the sum is multiple of n, then it would be equal. Otherwise, some machine would have to. We can't balance the load between the two.
Okay.
Opt will have to have something at least the total duration average over the number of machines.
Right. So what is the best case scenario? Your goal is balancing, right? I'll try to give a high level idea. Your goal is to balance the load, right? What is the ideal thing that could possibly happen when you're trying to balance the load? All the machines have exactly the same load. What is that load? Well, exactly this, the average, right? So that is your ideal scenario. Okay. So the optimal solution will be at least this ideal scenario. Okay, you can say it in any other manner. You can do a proof by contradiction, right? By for the sake of contradiction, opt is less than this. Then if you take the sum of load of all the machines, that will not add up to d1 through the summation, the sum of all the durations of all the jobs, and that is a problem, because then that means that you're not there's something wrong. That's a contradiction. Okay, so this is true. Okay. Second claim is actually a simpler claim. We want to say that for any job T, opt is greater than or equal to D of T. Is that true? Every job has to be placed somewhere, right? And whatever the optimal solution is, the value of the optimal solution has to be at least D of T for every time, right? So this is a big claim. Okay, now it becomes slightly more involved. Let the jth machine finish last, okay, as per the greedy algorithm. And let I be the last job assigned to machine J. And let S be the start time of job I on machine J. Okay, so here's the scenario. I'll draw the scenario. Okay, so you have these machines, and as per the greedy algorithm, the machine that finishes last is the jth machine. Just assume, okay, J could be anything. And the job that finishes last on this machine is ith job, right? So ith job is, okay. And let S be the starting time, of this job I on this particular machine J, okay. Now, I want to prove that S is at most this average value. Why? This is at most the average.
If the load would have been balanced, then S would have been equal to this probably. Quality would have.
Okay, so take a minute, think about it. This is the only tricky part, rest is just calculations.
Yes.
Why? Why is this true?
If greater than average, then there is some other machine which has a smaller load.
Which has a smaller row.
So far, yeah. So in case of average, all the machines would have equally distributed load.
No,
S is greater than average, then some other machine has lighter load, and then this job gets placed on that machine.
okay, so you're saying it the other way. Okay, so let me keep a solution. Let me ask the other people too also. So she's saying this is the right thing in one particular manner, but there's another way to look at it.
So if S was suppose greater than this average quantity, then there must be some other machine which got free earlier. And then S would have been scheduled on that basis.
Oh, this ith machine, ith job should have been scheduled somewhere else.
Because the load would have been higher probably in the last job.
No, look. Okay, so you guys are jumping a step. I want to not jump a step. Okay, so for the sake of contradiction, assume that S is greater than this particular quantity, right? We'll get a contradiction. When the ith job was placed on this machine, what was the load on the other machines?
D1 to Di minus 1 the local problem.
No. What was the load on the first machine? Can we say? Higher than S, right? When this ith machine was ith job was placed on this machine, the load on the first machine was more than S. Okay, at least. Now we don't know more than, but at least that much, right? So the load of this machine was at least S. Load of the second machine was also at least S. In fact, all of them was at least S. Okay? So now, that means the load of this machine, all was at least S. If S is greater than that particular quantity, what if we sum up the load of all the machines? That will exceed the sum of duration of all the jobs. That's a contradiction. That can't happen. Right? That is why S is less than or equal to this particular quantity. Okay? Make sense? Okay, and this is crucial. We're using using properties of the algorithm. We use the property that at every step, a job will be placed on a machine with least load. We use this property crucially to prove this particular claim. Right? Okay, now let's just put everything together. Now, this implies that G is less than or equal to this particular quantity plus Di. Oh, sorry, no, before that. So G is less than or equal to S plus Di. By definition, right? So this is the machine with the largest load, okay? And the load on this machine is S plus Di, okay? So that is our greedy solution, the value of the greedy solution. The value of the greedy solution is less than or equal to S plus Di. It's actually equal to S plus Di, but it's fine. Since we are working with the inequality, this is good. Now we just use this particular inequality. This implies that G is less than or equal to this plus Di, okay? Using claim 1.3. Oh, it's equal, but if it is equal, then it's also less than equal to, right? Okay, so I could have just done equal to here, and then I should actually do that, because every time I show this, somebody points this out. Yeah, so this is equal, and the next step we get an inequality, right? Okay, now this implies that G is less than or equal to opt plus Di. What did we do? Use claim 1.1, right? And that implies that G is less than or equal to 2 times opt. We just use claim 1.2, and that's it, right? So that is okay. So now I have a solid 30 minutes. I actually talk about the scheduling problem, the classroom scheduling problem. That means you have interval scheduling problem. Will that help, or is that too easy for this? The interval scheduling problem is where you have a classroom and you get requests for slots, okay, and then you want to schedule, you want to maximize the number of lectures that you want to schedule, and there's a greedy algorithm for that. Is that going to help? I can do something else too. Huh? Approximation algorithm.
Everybody wants that. Depends on what everybody wants.
I get confused in NP hard, NP complete, and all that.
Oh, that will require more than half an hour.
You have a separate topic.
Right. Yeah, so the reason why we are happy we are studying these problems, because both the problems that we studied, the minimum make span and the set curve problem, both are NP hard problems, and that's why we are sort of happy with approximate solution. Yes.
Sir, we have looked at the computing, hard computing and soft computing.
I don't know the definition of hard computing and soft computing. I don't understand what is the meaning of soft computing. Seriously, I do not understand. Everything, it seems to me everything is soft computing. I don't know the definition of soft computing and hard computing. Okay, so the interval scheduling will help if I do that, or we can do that. Okay, so let me see what I have, what I already have. Okay, so I also have this other example, fractional knapsack. Yeah. But if you think the interval scheduling will help, then let's do that. We have a solid half an hour. I think this is the easiest problem to cover in 25-30 minutes. Okay, it's okay. Okay, so simple. So we go back to the domain of greedy algorithms, where the greedy algorithms indeed produces an optimal solution. Okay. So interval scheduling, the problem is very simple. You are given a set of n intervals of the form SIFI, and you have to find the largest subset of non-overlapping intervals. Okay. So you are given a bunch of these start times and finish times. Okay. And you have to pick a subset of these intervals, okay, which first do not overlap, second it has the maximum largest cardinality. Okay, so visual, so we can use a visual representation for this particular problem. So for example, suppose there is a class, okay, that starts at say 9 a.m. and finishes at 5 p.m. Now you get the requests for these lectures, okay, and each request comes with a start time of the lecture and the end time of the lecture. Okay, so each request for a lecture has a start time and a finish time. Okay, what you want to do is to maximize the number of lectures that you want to schedule in this classroom. Okay, so that's the interval scheduling problem. So let's consider this particular example. Can you give me an optimal solution for this problem?
L1, L2, L5, L6.
L1, L2, L5, L6. So people are very comfortable with this interval scheduling, it seems. Okay, yeah. So that it turns out to be an optimal solution. So how did you come up with this optimal solution? You know the algorithm. The minimum finishing time. Okay. The next one with the minimum finishing time, right? So, okay, so I had some candidate greedy choices which actually do not work, which makes sense, but then again this does not work. So maybe we can do sort of an exercise on this. Okay, so here are a bunch of candidate greedy choices, and let's do an exercise. Suppose we want to come up with, suppose we consider an algorithm where the greedy choice or greedy strategy is based on the earliest start time. That means, right? So that means that we want to first pick a lecture which starts the earliest, schedule that, and then out of the remaining lectures that do not overlap with the first lecture, again pick the one which has the earliest start time. Okay, so the logic behind, the reasoning behind this kind of greedy strategy is that you don't want to waste the class time, right? So you have something that is starting early, why not schedule that? Okay, so can you give me a counter example where this does not produce an optimal solution?
So if there is a job, if there is a class that's for 4 hours and I have 3 classes, starting say maybe 15 minutes later. So
Okay.
I'm giving it to one class which is also longer duration and
Right.
take my time.
Right, what if there is a request for a lecture that starts at the beginning and ends at 5? Okay, so in that particular case, even if you have some other lectures like this, you cannot schedule them, right, because it overlaps, right? So greedy in this case does not produce the optimum solution. What about smallest duration? What if you give preference to a lecture that has a very small duration? And the logic behind that is that, well, lectures that have small duration seems to occupy the room for a small amount of time.
Ideal period in between two smaller duration.
Okay.
Classroom in between.
Okay. Okay. So can you give me a counter example? Suppose we have a very small duration class. Okay. And can you give me more lectures? Two overlapping one with this, right? Yeah, so and then this does not. The greedy algorithm is going to pick this, but the optimal is this and this, right? So it does not work. Okay, so it seems that the overlapping of lectures is a problem, right? So because we saw in the second example that the overlapping causes a problem. What if we give preference to lectures that have least number of overlaps? Yeah, and I don't remember that.
This example is the bad example for this also.
No, it's not actually. So let's work it out. Least overlapping. Okay, so what the least overlapping, right? So we figure out for each of the lectures, we figure out how many other lectures does it overlap with. Okay, so this overlaps with one other lecture, this overlaps with 2, this overlaps with 1. Okay, so in this case it actually works. So you give preference, or you pick a lecture that has least number of overlaps. So you'll pick this, and then you'll pick this, right? So it gives an optimal solution. This does not work as a counter example for this. Oh, in this example, so this has 1, this has 2, 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 and this has 1. So it seems it might work here, right? So you'll pick this one, and then you keep doing that. You might, most likely it will give you the optimal solution in this particular case. It's it's not as easy as the first two, and the counter example that you have for this is slightly tricky, and I don't exactly, I have to reconstruct in my head, and that will take some time. So let me skip that, okay? So let me take the easy way out and give you as an exercise. So try to come up with actually this does not work. So there's a counter example for even this particular greedy strategy. Okay, so let me just leave it as an sort of a take home exercise. Okay, so, and the reason for that is a little bit embarrassing, I don't remember myself. Okay, so the greedy strategy that actually works is earliest finish time. Okay, so what you do is you give preference to the job, to the lecture or to the interval that has the earliest finish time. Okay, so out of all the lectures, you pick that one, you schedule that one that is the earliest finish time, and then again out of the remaining ones that do not overlap with the first one, again pick one that is the earliest finish time, and keep doing that until as long as you can schedule more and more lectures. If all the lectures have been covered, then you stop at that point of time. Right, that's the algorithm. So basically the algorithm is the following. The greedy schedule algorithm is initialize R to contain all intervals, and while the set R is not empty, choose an interval SIFI from R that has the smallest value of Fi, the finish line, delete all the intervals in R that overlaps with SIFI, and keep doing this, assigning intervals. Okay, so now the main thing that needs to be discussed as far as this simple greedy algorithm is concerned is that this greedy algorithm produces an optimal solution. Okay, so let me ask you a few questions. Let O denote some optimal subset and A be the subset given by the greedy schedule. Can we hope to show that A is equal to O, that the solution of the greedy algorithm produces is always equal to the solution, the optimal solution? No, that's not true. Why? Because there might be multiple optimal solutions, right? So if there's multiple optimal solutions, greedy algorithm, we cannot hope to actually always prove this, right? Because greedy algorithm might be producing an optimal solution, it's just not the optimal solution that we are talking about. Okay, so some fixed optimal solution. So what can we try to do? Well, we can show that the size of the optimal solution is equal to the size of the solution produced by the greedy algorithm. So that is something that we'll try to do. Okay, and we use something called a greedy stays ahead method. It's just an idea. It's a high level idea. There's nothing deep about the greedy stays ahead method. Okay, so here's the proof. Let A1, A2 up till AK be the sequence of requests that the greedy schedule picks, and let O1, O2 up till OL be the requests in O, the optimal solution, sorted in non-decreasing order by finish time. Okay, so you have this particular scenario. So you have these jobs that are picked by greedy. So this is A1, A2, A3, A4, AK, and you have O1, O2, O3, and so on and so on. Okay. Can we prove that the finish time of A1 is less than or equal to the finish time of O1? Is that true? Finish time of the first job that was scheduled by the greedy algorithm is less than or equal to the finish time of the first job, okay, as per the increasing order of finish time of the optimal solution.
It can be equal to, since initially we used to only that job which was the
Least finish time, right? So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's not strictly less than or equal to.
less,
No, less than or equal to. I'm just claiming that it should be less than or equal to.
I guess the question is why, how can it be less than? Because you pick the one that finishes first. But that may not be the optimal choice. You don't know how the optimal has picked its.
Whatever be the optimal solution, right? Whatever be the optimal solution, the finish time of A1 is guaranteed to be less than or equal, because the finish time of A1 is less than or equal to the finish time of all the other jobs. Whatever this O1 is, the finish time will be less, right? So this is sort of a simple claim that we have. Okay. Now, can you prove this? If f of A1 is less than or equal to f of O1, f of A2 is less than or equal to f of O2, up till f of A minus 1 is less than or equal to f of O minus 1, then I want to claim that f of AI is also less than or equal to f of OI, finish time of OI. Why is that true? Why is that if f of A1 is, okay, so my diagram is a little bit off. Okay, so if f of A1 is less than or equal to f of O1, A2 is less than or equal to f of O2, this is less than this is less than or equal to this, then that implies that the finish time of AI is guaranteed to be less than or equal to finish time of OI. Why?
You doing the same argument when you have the previous job was, it is saying that the previous job
we'll pick the one that does not overlap, okay, with any of the previous jobs that have been scheduled, and that has the minimum finishing time, right? So for the sake of contradiction, assume that this is not the scenario, right? Suppose this is the case, that f of OI is less than f of AI, okay? Then look at what greedy algorithm would do at that point of time. Does this OI overlap with any of these jobs? Does this overlap with any of these jobs? No, why not? Look, if your argument does not use this fact, okay, then there is something wrong with the argument, right? It has to crucially use that fact, that the hypothesis.
Its start time is after the finish time of.
So its start time is after the finish time of OI minus 1, and since the finish time of OI minus 1 is larger than the greater than equal to the finish time of this, the start time of this is larger than greater than equal to the finish time of AI minus 1, so that means this job does not contradict or overlap with any of these, right? And hence, at that instant, the greedy algorithm would not have picked AI, it should have picked this, right? And that's a contradiction, right? So the finish time of OI is greater than equal to this. Okay, so are we done? So why did we prove these two claims? What are we going to get out of these two claims? If we combine them, what does it look like? The proof structure. This seems like the base case, and this seems like the inductive case, right? So what do we get? We get that this is the base case, this is the inductive step. So what we get? We get that for all I, Fi is greater than Fi is less than equal to f of OI. Huh? Right, so we are still not done. Yeah, so that's a very good point. So all we have proved is that for all I, f of AI is less than equal to f of OI. Okay, so then how do we prove that the number of jobs that are here, that means L is equal to K. The number of jobs that, the number of lectures that are here is equal to the number of lectures that are here. Suppose for the sake of contradiction, this has more number of jobs. We have already proved that for all I, right? So even if we are looking at the job O of K, right? So for all I, we have proved that this is the scenario, right? So for all of them, the corresponding finishing time is more, right? So the corresponding finishing time is more. Suppose there are, in the optimal solution, there are 4 more jobs right here. Do you get a contradiction? Is that possible? If that is the case, then the greedy algorithm would not have stopped at AK, right? Because again, the jobs that are here do not contradict with any of the jobs, any of the lectures here. So the greedy algorithm would not have stopped at AK, it would continue, right? So that's a contradiction, right? So it cannot have more jobs than the greedy algorithm. It cannot have more lectures because the finishing time of OK is greater than equal to finishing time of AK. So if there are more lectures that are after OK, then that means the greedy algorithm would continue and not stop at AK. Okay, so that's how you get this. So the number of lectures scheduled by the greedy algorithm and the and the optimal are equal. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. Now this is interesting. What is the running time of how well can you implement this algorithm? So what are you trying to do? Well, you're trying to figure out the job with the minimum finishing time, and then you want to consider all the remaining jobs that do not overlap with this job, with this lecture, and then again pick the one with the least finishing time and keep continuing to do that. Sort based on what? On the finishing time, you sort all the jobs based on the finishing time, okay? That is going to cost you n log n, right? So use some sorting algorithm, and then what do you do? So you pick the first one, okay? So you sort all the jobs based on the finishing time, right? So you get a sorted array of all the jobs based on the finishing times. Okay, so you have already sorted. That means you have numbered them. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, right? And now what do you do? Well, the first job that you want to schedule is job number 1. Okay, so you pick this job number 1 and schedule it. You store it in the set. Now what do you do?
Starting line should not be smaller than, for the next one, the starting line should not be smaller than the previous line.
Okay, so you just have to traverse, right? So keep looking at job number 2 and check whether the starting time is less than equal to the finishing time of the first job that you have scheduled. If it is, then you continue with the next one. If it is larger, you schedule that and you update the finishing time. And you could, so the running time or the algorithm just takes just a linear pass over the sorted array. So the running time of this algorithm is going to be log n log n. Okay, so I think yeah. So let's close this. Now I just have 7 minutes. I cannot take a new problem. So let me take questions instead. Yeah, sorry about this. I thought it would take a lot of time, but perhaps it didn't. So,
That's fine.
thank you.